In the kingdom of eternal dusk, the sun never truly rose and night never fully fell. The sky hovered forever in a breathtaking twilight, painted in endless shades of violet and deep blue. And the stars were not mere decorations. They were essential. They were the lifeblood of the sky, each one anchored to the heavens by ancient light. Their constant glow was kept alive by the quiet, dedicated work of the lantern keepers who walked the rolling hills at twilight, their lanterns held high. But now all but one were gone. Her name was Liora, the last living lantern keeper. She was a silhouette against the twilight hills, a young woman with a responsibility far older than herself. Every evening she climbed the familiar stone paths, her steps as quiet as falling leaves. The lanterns she carried were lighter than breath, their wicks burning with a soft, gentle glow. With each one she lit and raised toward the sky, she was continuing a tradition that spanned generations. Yet, Liora believed her task was small, almost insignificant. "I only keep the stars company," she would often whisper to the wind, her voice barely a sound. She was afraid to think her work might matter more than that, afraid of the weight such a thought would carry. The kingdom, once reverent of the keepers, barely noticed her anymore. Her solitary journey was just another part of the unchanging scenery of eternal dusk. They had forgotten the importance of the lights above and the one who tended to them below. Until the winter, the sky changed. It was a cold that settled deep into the bones, a kind of cold that seemed to suck the very warmth from the air. One night, as a delicate frost stitched silver veins across the sleeping fields, Liora looked up from her path and saw something impossible. Something that shattered the stillness of her world. A star was falling. It wasn't crashing or burning in a fiery blaze, as the old tales described. It was drifting downward, slowly, gently, like a tired eyelid finally closing after a long, weary day. The star's light flickered in rhythm with each breath she took, a fragile pulse in the vast, silent sky. And as it descended, a voice brushed against her thoughts, as soft and ephemeral as starlight filtering through freshly fallen snow. "I am so tired," the star whispered, the words echoing not in her ears, but in the deepest part of her mind. "I have shone alone for centuries." A chill, colder than the winter air, ran down Liora's spine. The elders, in their long-forgotten stories, had warned of this. They said that if the last star fell, the fragile balance of eternal dusk would shatter, and the kingdom would slip into a final endless darkness. An eternal night from which there was no return. But the star, it didn't sound angry or broken. It didn't sound like a harbinger of doom. It just sounded lonely, profoundly, achingly lonely. A feeling Liora knew all too well. In that moment, a choice was made. Liora turned from her familiar route. With a new determination burning in her heart, she followed the star's slow, graceful descent, her lanterns bobbing beside her. She ventured beyond the lantern roots, beyond the hills no keeper had walked for generations. The biting cold gnawed at her hands, turning her fingers numb, yet her lanterns seemed to burn with a newfound intensity. They grew warmer with each step she took, their light glowing brighter, stronger, and more defiantly than they ever had before. It was as if they sensed the gravity of her quest, feeding on her resolve. The star drifted lower and lower, until it hovered just above the frosted earth, its light now a soft, pulsing orb. It spoke again, its voice almost shy, hesitant. "I have watched you," it said, the thoughts settling in her mind like a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I have watched you since you were a small child, learning the lantern paths from your grandmother. You were the only one who never asked the sky for anything. You didn't pray for fortunes, or wish for love, or beg for guidance. You simply looked up. And you smiled." Liora's breath caught in her throat. All this time, she thought she was the lonely observer, the silent keeper. She had never, not once, imagined that the stars could see her back, that they had been watching her just as she had been watching them. The star dimmed further, its light trembling like a heartbeat nearing its final peaceful rest. It was beautiful, but heartbreaking. "I have one question," it whispered, its voice now faint, a thread of light in the growing dark. a question no star has ever dared ask a human. Liora knelt in the frosted grass beneath the celestial being. Instinctively, she held her brightest lantern high, not as a tool, but as an offering. Her hands were shaking, but not from the cold, and not from fear. It was a tremor of profound, dawning understanding, a realization that was shifting the foundations of everything she had ever been taught. The question she awaited was not about survival. It was not about the mechanics of light, or the fate of the kingdom, or the cosmic balance of the stars. It was about something far more simple and infinitely more profound. It was about belonging. And in that moment, under the gaze of a dying, lonely star, Liora finally realized the truth the Lantern Keepers had forgotten over the ages. A truth lost to ritual and routine. The stars did not need guarding. They did not need to be kept awake by dutiful keepers. They needed witnesses. They needed someone to share their light with. They needed a friend. As the star waited for her answer, its light flickering, Liora did something no Lantern Keeper had ever done. She lowered her lantern from the sky, and she turned it not toward the heavens, but toward her own heart, offering its warm, familiar glow. She was ready to give the only light that could truly keep a star from falling. The light of connection, the light of not being alone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales from worlds beyond our own.